All right, so today I want to talk to you guys about effective evangelism. My visual aid is actually a picture, and I know it's really hard to see, but this guy right here, his name is Mitchell, and he's one of my friends. I knew him for only a year because I was a junior and he was a senior, and I only went to the school for 2 years. But I actually just found out that Mitchell passed away a couple of days ago because of a drug overdose. He'd been to rehab a couple of times, and he was addicted to crack. And I'm not really sure if Mitchell was saved. And that really struck me. It was really hard for me. I struggled with it for a while. And so today I want to bring this topic to you because I think as college students we have a lot of impact. And I think one of the ways that we can impact people is by securing lives for eternity. So today I am going to talk to you about 3 helpful tips for effective evangelism in order that you might be able to reach out to those that are unsaved around you. And I think I'm a credible speaker on this because I've been a Christ follower for about 13 years now, and I've actually studied evangelism for the last 2 years. So my purpose is to help you guys become effective evangelists, and by doing that, the 3 tips I want to talk to you about are challenging the stereotype, providing a listening ear, and continuing the connection. So my first point is challenging the stereotype. If you Google Christian stereotypes, it's not very pretty. It's pretty negative, actually. And one of the articles I read on the Huffington Post, written by Christian Piet, he talked about the stereotypes, Christian stereotypes for 2011, and they were just, it was nasty. It was like, gay haters, judgmental. And so I think one of the biggest ways that we can open doors is just by challenging that Christian stereotype, by being loving and outgoing and servitude, and just showing people we're not as mean and nasty as everybody makes us out to be. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a magician called Penn Jillette, but he's a famous magician, and he does this blog on YouTube, and if any of you guys have taken Biblical Worldview, Dr. Matthews, if you have Dr. Matthews, he showed this, and he talks about this guy who came and witnessed to him afterwards, and he was just like very impressed with him because he was sane, and he was like shook his hand, and it just like really impacted him because he was just like not a crazy Christian, but he was just a normal guy. So that can be a huge door opener. My second point is to be a listening ear. This past summer I went to Italy, and on my mission trip I talked to this one guy, and he was a war veteran, and he was just yelling the whole time we were talking to him. He was just angry, and afterwards I asked my translator, I was like, why did we stay there and just let him yell at us? Like, he obviously wasn't going to accept Jesus, and he wasn't like, going anywhere. And he told me, he said, sometimes people just need to have someone to yell at. Like, sometimes you just need to let them yell at you because they can get their anger out, so that way next time they talk to someone, they're like more open, and they've gotten that anger out, and they're more willing to move on and be able to take the next step down the process of maybe coming to Christ. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is a girl I talked to recently on Facebook. She posted this nasty status about like how a Christian had mistreated her, and so I messaged her, and I was like, hey, I'm a Christian, and I just want to say I'm sorry for the way this person treated you, and I just want to know if you had any questions, I'd be willing to answer them. And so we've actually been talking for weeks now, and she's just been asking me question after question after question. She's an atheist, and I've just been able to be a listening ear and just like be there for her and answer her questions in a loving way, and that's opened up a door. So my last third point is keeping the connection. Matthew 28:19 says, therefore go and make disciples of all nations. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions about evangelism is that you have to just get someone to say the prayer and then move on. That is so not true. God calls us to make disciples. And actually John Piper, who's a famous pastor and author, says, conversion and baptism are essential, but so is the ongoing teaching of what Jesus taught. So all disciple makers must be teachers, and disciples must be continual learners. So basically it's just a continual process. And it has to be, you have to keep the connection with them, whether they get saved or whether they don't. If they get saved, you want to keep the connection so that you can help them continue to grow on their path with Jesus. And if they don't, you want to keep the connection so later on, if they want to contact you, they can. I've had some of my friends, they know I'm a Christian, I've reached out to them forever, and they've just been like denying it. And then one day, randomly, my friend called me up and he was like, what's this Jesus thing? Because I'm desperate, And that's been like really cool. If you can keep that connection, you can keep those doors open, and you can not just make converts, but you can make disciples. So in conclusion, to be an effective evangelist, I think we need to challenge the Christian stereotype and be outgoing in love and show people that we are Christ followers who love God, and challenge that negative stereotype. We need to provide a listening ear and be willing to answer people's questions, and be there for people, either to be yelled at or just to simply answer their questions and listen to them. And we need to keep the relationship and continue the relationship that we've made, in order that we can not just make converts but make disciples. And I think if we do all those things, we can be more effective evangelists, and we can impact our world today for Christ and prevent people like Mitchell from leaving this world without knowing Jesus and knowing he's saved for sure. Thank you very much.